Welcome, everybody in person, and then people of the future watching online. Um, wow, Dad, cool, you're going to go for it. You're going to join us. It's very, very special. My mom and dad are in class, and all of you are special too. Uh, so, something that has been illuminated in my practice lately, it's kind of a secret, and I'm going to tell you. And the coolest part about the secret is like, the only way for you to unlock its magical powers is for you to actually try it yourself. Okay? So I hope I've allured you. Hi, Dana. Welcome. It's so exciting to get to practice with you today. So here's the secret. As I do more and more yoga, the less I try, the less I force, the easier it becomes. That sounds obvious, but the stronger I am becoming. And the reason that I'm like really trying to make this exciting is because it's counterintuitive, right? You feel like, oh, if I push a little bit more, if I exert myself, that's how I'm going to get strong. And the secret is that the less you do and the more ease and delight you find in your body and in the movement, I promise you, the stronger you will become. So in today's class, and probably I'm probably going to teach this way a lot now, we'll be repeating things, right? We'll be coming in and out of things so that you get the chance to try again and again, right? To say, ooh, can I exert a little less effort here, right? Can I find a little more sweetness, a little more ease? And I promise you, you will get stronger, even though it might feel like you're working less. So that's the secret. I'm very excited to hear how it goes for you guys. And with that, let's put it to the test. So take a turn to your left. And Satyam, will you flip me and make sure I'm mirrored? And just because some more people joined, a reminder that the playlist is in the chat box. You need to send it again, I think, if they joined later, just in case you want some music. So take a quarter turn to the left, make your way onto your back, and just check, make sure the right side of your body is closer to the screen. That's going to make it easier to follow along with me. And then, first test of your yoga practice, try to get comfortable, right? And it might look differently than my position here. You can separate the feet more, separate the hands more, try bending the knees, and just take your time shifting around until you find a space where you can start to let go a little bit. And then from that still point, start to notice your breath flow. And resist the very natural temptation to change the breath or to take a deep breath, and instead imagine you're just watching yourself breathe. Maybe you've even observed a baby breathing, and you've seen that natural fullness of the breath as if their whole body was receiving the breath. And we're going to have a special focus in our class today of noticing how the rib cage and the pelvis interact and relate to each other. And so as you breathe, notice the expansion of the belly and start to feel where it intersects with the rib cage, with the pelvis. And then notice how that changes as you exhale. You can even imagine the breath filling the space between rib cage and pelvis. Everything okay, Dana? Okay. And just take a couple more breaths like this. We'll continue to work with the breath as we move, and it's really helpful to lay this foundation from stillness. We'll start to add just a little bit of movement. And it's sort of like rubbing your belly and patting your head. See if, as you continue observing the breath, you can now add movement without losing your awareness of the breath. So it's okay if the knees are bent or the legs are straight, works in both places. Imagine you have a penny underneath your heel, and you're just circling around the edges of the penny with the heel. And let it move as slowly as you need to really feel each moment of the circle. I really enjoy having my feet mirror one another, so having the circle go towards the outside and then forward and then inside, but it doesn't really matter. You can do it however is natural for you. And as you continue to circle the weight on the heels, let the legs relax and let the rest of the legs naturally follow this movement. So you might notice a little rotation occurring in the ankle, all the way up to the hip socket. At any time, give yourself permission to step the feet wide, lengthen the legs out. Sometimes your body gives you clues of what it wants if you are just willing to listen and adapt. And then go the opposite direction. And because we're working on doing less and applying less effort, let's all just try slowing down and see if you can witness more nuance in the body. It takes more control. It actually takes more strength to move slowly. And then just pause for a moment. Let the feet rest on the earth if the knees are bent, or just let them relax if the legs are extended. And come back to the breath, back to the awareness of the space the breath is taking up between ribcage and pelvis. Now we'll start our sequence. If you're following along with the playlist, you can hit play on the first track and just make sure it's set to loop, because I will tell you when to go to the next song. So you want each single song repeating. And so if the legs are extended, slowly drag the heels in towards the hips, placing the soles of the feet down. And just take a moment to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. As you do this, notice the thigh bones shifting in the hip sockets. Allow the pelvis to gently tilt from side to side, and perhaps feel how the spine is responding to these gentle shifts. Come back to center and slowly start to lift the left thigh into the chest. Reach the arms towards the foot, but don't touch. And slowly curl the body up to meet the thigh. And then release the head down, let the foot slide forward. And we're going to repeat this a few times. And so here's our first opportunity to try doing less. As you do less, notice if more of the support can come from your center so that the neck can relax and there's no strain. And maybe that means lifting less, right? If you're like, no, there's no way I can do that without strain, then only lift a centimeter and see if that helps. And the next time you lower, pause there and grab behind the thigh and gently start to kick the thigh into the hands and notice the sensation in the left hip socket as you do that. We're going to wake up all the muscles around the left hip joint. And so first we're waking up the muscles in the back of the hip. Just take a couple of kicks and releases. And again, it's not about intensity, right? But can you actually feel those muscles on the back of the hip and the glutes starting to gently turn on to support the back of the pelvis? And then bring the hands towards the inner thigh and do the same thing, but now let the legs squeeze towards center and you resist with the hand, right? So now the muscles of the inner thigh are turning on and you can just pulse and release, or you can hold and make some gentle circles with the leg. This is really up to you, but we're going to make our way all the way around the thigh. And now you can continue your own pace. And imagine each place that the hands contact the thigh and that squeezing moment between the hands and the leg. Imagine you're waking up more muscles, right? You're waking up more support. You're waking up more potential to have space in the hip socket. And we'll make our way all the way around one more time. And if ever it feels like too much, you probably know what I'm going to say. Try doing less, right? A lot of us have tight hip flexors. So you might notice when the hands are on the top of the thigh and you squeeze the leg in, you're like, oh, that's too much. Skip that one. You already have enough awake there. You don't need to do more. And now let's pause. Bring the right hand to the outer thigh and squeeze hand and thigh together and notice the outer thigh turn on. And see if you can even feel that sensation travel into the left side of the core. Maybe you can feel how the pelvis and the rib cage are related muscularly. Keep that connection as you very slowly start to twist the body over to the right, lengthening the left side of the body. Here's the trick though, the rib cage is going to come with you, right? So it's not a deep twist. You're just allowing the left side of the body to stay strong as you rotate. And then reach your left hand towards me and slowly circle the arm overhead. Imagine the arm is anchored right into the left hip. And so as the arm reaches back, there's no strain in the shoulder, but it literally just pulls the hip back to where it came from very slowly. And we're actually going to do that a couple more times, starting with our crunch. So reach your hands to either side of the foot, curl up. We're going to skip waking up the muscles in the hip and go straight to right hand to outer left thigh. Squeeze hand and thigh together, and then slowly reach the left knee over to the right. Let the rib cage follow so you're not in a deep twist. And then notice how the left arm just swings forward and carry that momentum overhead, letting the left arm peel the left hip open and back to your center point. We'll repeat this 2 more times. So starting with the crunch, and you'll go at your own pace. It goes crunch, twist with that extra activation on the outside of the leg, slow motion. And then eventually the left arm circles overhead to bring you back to the beginning. If you ever lose your place, you can just meet up and follow what I'm doing. But if you've got the hang of it, because I think almost all of you are yoga teachers, move at your own pace. Add, subtract. This is always your practice. I've just got some ideas for you to play with. The next time you make it onto your back, pause there. grab behind the left thigh. Magic trick that I learned from Ya Devi. Lift the right leg and then swing the right leg down and let that pull you effortlessly up to seated. Magic, right? Yes, way to go. Let's just take one nice easy twist to the left. And then back to center. Thread the right foot between left heel and left sit bone and slowly start to unwind to the right. We're flipping to tabletop, but take your time, especially if that's a new transition. So your head is, you're looking at where you were laying before, if that makes sense. Let's paw out the hands, just shifting the weight from side to side. Let the hands be really soft. Let the wrists be supple. Let the index finger, middle finger, and ring finger knuckles gently come away from the mat. So there's no pressure, no anchoring through the whole palm. Almost as if your hands were feet and you're letting the arches of your feet express themselves. And then pause for a moment in tabletop and bring your awareness to the rib cage and the pelvis, just like we did on the back. And let your belly get really heavy so it starts to sink towards the mat. And just notice how the pelvis spills forward and the rib cage tilts up. And then reverse that movement, almost like you're zipping everything back in. And notice how the rib cage and the pelvis start to interact with one another as if they were connecting. Repeat that a couple of times, but dial it down. So it's just less and less arching, less and less rounding, and more awareness of the relationship between the bottom half of the body and the top half of the body, connected by the spine and all of your very important organs and core muscles. And then try to find a neutral spot, right, where the belly's not dropping, but the spine is not rounding. And just pause there for a moment and breathe and notice what that feels like. Do you find this connection between top and bottom? And see if you can maintain it as you slowly lower one forearm at a time and then come back to palms. Move really slowly and fluidly here. And I'm most interested in what's happening with rib cage and pelvis. So let most of your awareness be there. And just trust that your hands and your forearms and your shoulders know what to do. The next time you're on palms, reverse direction so the opposite forearm comes down first. And we'll all meet on forearms, pause there, and slowly start to shift the pelvis forward and back. And we all have different compensation patterns. Sometimes we arch the back when we do this, so notice if you can keep that same neutral spine and let more of the movement come from the hips creasing and the glutes almost expanding behind you, like pulling a slingshot back. And the next time the hips reach back, let the tailbone get really heavy, start to walk the hands in, and slowly start to roll up one vertebra at a time. And you can support your hands on your thighs if your spine needs more support. We all have different core strengths, so honor that. There should never be any pain. And once head and neck stack, just sweep the arms up weightlessly for a moment. And then crease the hips again and just take a couple of pulses into the hips like a kneeling chair. The next time you start to stand up, shift the right foot forward. Just like take the right foot with you effortlessly. Yeah, it's effortless, right? And slowly release down, just rounding forward for a moment, and then push down into back knee and front foot so that you can express the spine upward. And just do this a couple of times, starting to bring more awareness to the legs, letting the spine start to resist gravity. And just finding an ease and a fluidity. See if you can continue to notice your natural breath flow and relationship between the rib cage and the pelvis. The next time you come up, pause there, and we'll actually lower the left hand down nice and wide and inch the left knee forward, space between the foot and the hand. Kick it through. Kick the other foot through. We should be ready to lie down facing the opposite direction. We're just going to wake up the back of our shoulders a little bit. So post back and just shift from side to side. And actually, that's too much. Let's not do that one yet. Come back onto the hands and do it from here. Just shifting from side to side. Soft bend in the elbows. And let the hands turn different directions and just become very interested in the sensations in the shoulders. Kind of like we did with the thigh, kicking it in all different directions. Imagine you're waking up support in every direction in the shoulders. If there's any time you want to pause and breathe, that's totally great. And to make our way onto our back, just bend the right knee, grab behind the right thigh, and tension the leg forward so that you can very slowly control your descent, which takes a lot of finesse. So have fun with it. And once the head arrives, you can stretch the right leg out and just pause in a mini Shavasana. These are the moments when our body takes in all of the information that it just learned, how to better support the hip socket, how to better connect the pelvis and the rib cage. It's learning every step of the way. Just like a child learns, just by observing. It doesn't have to memorize anything, it just absorbs. And just witness your next 2 breaths, and then we'll begin that on the second side. And start by dragging the heels in towards the sits bones. Let the soles of the feet connect to the earth. Reach fingertips towards the heels. We're going to add a little back bend here. So slowly curl up 1 vertebra at a time. Nice gentle bridge pose. We'll have time to take it deeper later. And release each vertebra back down. And as soon as the sacrum touches the earth, let the right knee come in towards the chest. Reach the arms to either side of the right foot. Slowly curl up. And take a few gentle pulses here. Let the thigh and the torso squeeze towards one another, and then let them reach away. So both the upper body and the lower body are moving as if mirroring each other. The next time you release down, bring the hands behind the thigh. Start to kick the foot forward so that you can awaken the back of the leg. And now that you're familiar with this, I'm going to let you play with it at your own pace, bringing the hands to different areas so that you can squeeze hands and leg together. Trying to turn on, I shouldn't say trying, allowing your very smart body to support you, but giving it the opportunity. We'll make our way all the way around one more time, or you can move really, really slow and only go 1 time total. And then bring the left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Reach the right arm to a half T. And squeeze hand and thigh together so you can really feel the outer right hip engage. Or just imagine that that's supporting you if you don't feel it. And then just notice sensations beyond the pelvis. Can you feel the core as you do that? Can you feel a connection into the rib cage. Keep all of that connected as you slowly start to point the right knee over to the left, coming on to the left side, but letting the rib cage come with you so you're not in a deep twist. The right hand will touch down last. And then remember that right hand connects all the way down to the right hip. So as you circle the arm overhead, don't even feel it in your shoulder. Let the hand pull the hip back to where it was. So the right knee points up to the ceiling. And then we start again, curling up towards the leg. Releasing down, connect left hand to thigh. And then with that strength, very slowly start to roll in space. Your body almost keeps the same shape as it rolls. So there's not a lot of rotation between rib cage and pelvis. Right hand touches down, and then you circle. Letting the hand carry the pelvis back to where it was. So again, not a deep twist. And you can continue at your own pace, going extra slow for one time, or staying with me for 2 times. Starting with the curl up, connecting hand to thigh, slow motion, roll, and then circle the arm. Grab behind the right thigh, lift the left leg, and drop the left leg to swing you up to seated. It's okay if it takes a couple times, yeah. And then circle into that leg, lift the right arm, just twist to the right. And now untwist, bend the left knee, thread the left foot through, and we're twisting to table, so you can move really slowly, or you can just hop on over if you're comfortable with that transition. Lower the knees down, pad out the hands, and this time we'll add on a little bit. So just take a moment of your mini cat-cow to find a neutral placement for pelvis and rib cage. Take a couple of hip hinges and see if you can feel the glutes catching you, supporting the bottom of the pelvis as you reach the hips back. The next time you come forward, lower on to the forearms and hover the knees. And if that's too much, you can just stay in your forearm table. That's great too. Let's take a couple of pulses, lifting and lowering the knees. And again, just noticing the relationship between rib cage and pelvis. You might be aware that they connect really well when the forearms are down and the knees hover. And then the next time the knees hover, stay there for a moment. Make sure you can breathe. And we're not dropping our knees just yet. Unless you need to, you can. When we drop the knees, we're going to ride this wave of momentum all the way up to a high kneel. And so you can watch me if you don't get what that means. Or you can just go for it, dropping the knees, slowly rolling up. And you can even clap at the top if you feel so inspired. Yay! Okay, let's try it again. So come back down to table, lower the forearms. On your own time, you'll hover the knees, stay there as long as you want, as long as you can breathe and you also feel relaxed. And then eventually drop the knees, roll the spine up, and clap. And we'll do it one more time at our own pace. You might change it a little along the way. I don't really care what you do as long as it feels great. That's the only rule. And the next time you're in a high kneel, we can pause and meet there. Okay, let's lower our arms, give them a little break. Let's shake our bodies out. And so we played with our hip crease in the last round, our kneeling chair. This time, we're going to shift the weight from side to side, so you get to play with stepping one foot forward at a time. And try to be gentle here, right? It's almost like you're just dipping your toe in the water ahead of you, and it's really cold water, right? So you don't want to just dunk your whole foot in there instantly. You're kind of tentative. That might mean not sending the hips back as far so you feel like you've got more control. Try to find your sweet spot, right, where you feel like you have complete control, and you could pause. If I just said freeze, you could do it, but I'm not going to, don't worry. And the next time the left foot is forward, pause there, and we'll, of course, balance out sides by rolling forward and then slowly stacking back up. And so let the hips come back, let the spine melt, the hands can reach back, and then slowly push down, letting one vertebra at a time stack. Let the fingers flick up towards the sky. No, it's funny. Our track just changed, and I think this is a great time for the track to change. So feel free to go to the second track, but definitely make sure it's on loop because I think it's shorter than the first track. Okay, so the next time you're up, observe me for a moment. Relax the arms so the shoulders don't get tired. We're going to use the same sense of momentum that we use to step the foot forward to try coming up to standing. And we've got all different skill levels here, and I want to make sure everyone's safe. So it might end up meaning you step a foot forward and you slowly come up, and that's totally fine. But if it feels comfortable, as you gain momentum with the hips coming forward and back, you can just take the right foot with you and come up to standing. So let's try that, and if that doesn't feel good on your joints, don't do it. If it doesn't feel good, it's not good. But see if you can find as much ease as possible as you shift the hips forward. Just take the right leg with you, and we'll meet standing. And I'll take, once you arrive at standing, pause. And this is the first time that our feet are underneath us. So take a moment to just feel your feet on the mat. Actually, walk around a little bit. Let the feet walk out underneath the hips. We did some nice subtle work in the hip sockets. So just notice the relationship between the feet connecting up into the hips. And we'll play with a very similar movement in chair pose. So first, walk the feet underneath the hips. Turn the toes forward, and my favorite thing to do anytime my feet are on the ground, to hold a penny. We've got lots of pennies in this class today, underneath the big toe, and then very gently spiral from the big toe into the outer hip sockets. It's not externally rotating the hips, but just letting there be a little extra support through the glutes, right? So if you feel like you're working hard, just do like 10%. And then heavy arms, shake out the hands, slowly start to crease the hips back, just like we did in our tabletop, as you sweep the arms forward, and then push into the feet to rise back up. And take a couple of pulses here. And again, witness the connection between rib cage and pelvis. Right? It's really common for people to splay the ribs here and arch the back a lot. So if you notice that, try to draw everything back together. It takes a little bit more awareness in the front of the body as you reach the hips back. By contrast, a lot of people under-tuck their pelvis and they don't really let their hips reach back. So try to find your Goldilocks moment, right? Which one are you? And how can you find it just right? Okay, and we're going to add on in a second, but let's come to standing and turn to face me just to make this a little easier. We're going to play with some toe flicks. And imagine you've got like a really cute, tiny trampoline underneath the ball of your right foot, and push down into that trampoline to flick the foot high. And when I first started doing this, my hip flexors turned on a whole lot, and that's not actually what we want to happen. So if you feel that sensation, try letting all the movement come from the foot, right? So that the hips aren't doing the work. Yeah, and it might mean lifting a little less. And then once you've experimented with that a little bit, and it's okay if it's just a seed planted. Sometimes it takes a little time for the body to figure it out. Try the other side. And so you're really pushing the ball of the foot and the toes down, and the whole rest of the body is responding, but I'm not consciously firing anything, just allowing the leg to lift. Okay, and we'll turn back to the side in a moment, but what we'll be doing is coming from chair right in to the toe flick. And so from the bottom, as you push up, you'll push into one foot and let that foot lift. And so as you're ready, you can turn to the left and just take a couple of chair toe flicks. And the next time the left foot is up, pause there. Give that left ankle a circle. I got this from Jesse's warm-up. It felt so good, I had to steal it. And then step the left foot forward and allow the left foot to come any amount to the left that helps the hips feel supported. Bend the left knee, sweep the arms up, and as the body reaches up, try to feel what's happening in the right leg. Try to notice a sense of spaciousness through the front of the right hip and an evenness all the way from the top of the right foot all the way up to the crown of the head. And then straighten the front leg, drop the arms, and just relax. Actually, draw a little circle with the pelvis. Just letting anything that's gripping, anything that's overcompensating, because we're all overachievers, or we're all slightly imbalanced, I don't know. Let everything come back to balance, and we'll repeat that. So bend into the front knee as you open the whole front of the body from the right ankle all the way up. And then push into the left foot to straighten the leg, let the arms drop. Now continue on your own with our theme of doing less, right? You've probably done Virabhadrasana 1 like a billion times. Try to make this the most easeful Virabhadrasana 1, no tension, almost like you're an inflatable raft, and you're very slowly and evenly filling in all directions. And the next time the leg straightens, push into the ball of the left foot to just hover the heel. And as you do that, the ankle might roll in or out. See if you can keep equal balance. We'll just take a couple of heel lifts to help activate that leg in a new way. And then let's add that on. So Virabhadrasana 1. And then straighten the front leg, drop the arms, and push into the ball of the foot. From Virabhadrasana 1, shift the weight into the front foot and toe flick with the right foot to send the knee forward. Bring left hand to thigh and just pause for a moment, connecting hand to thigh. And then stretch the right arm forward. Send the right foot back to where it came from. Release both hands and just pause for a moment. We'll do that one more time. So starting with your even raft Virabhadrasana 1. Drop hands, straighten front leg, lift the heel evenly. And then drop the heel, return to Vira 1, shift the weight forward, toe flick with the right foot, coming into your, anyone got a name for this? Let's call it tree. Dana, that's coming. We are going to be twisting into your head. You can feel the momentum already. So from here, cross the right foot in front of the left, reach back to the right, and then sweep the arms all the way over to the left, letting the feet spin so you're facing the opposite direction. Slide the left foot back so it's in line with the right. Just Tadasana. That was a really complicated way of just being like, now we're standing. We're going to do that same thing, going the opposite direction. And we won't spend as much time with the symmetrical stuff that you've already done. So let's start with our nice even chair pose. Right into a toe flick. If the toe flick isn't working for you and you feel like your hip flexors are dominating, a great substitute after chair pose is to just come on to the balls of the feet and reach the hands back so the back of the body can enliven more, especially up through the hamstrings, and that's going to help you with toe flicks in the future. So we got some options. I just added something really weird on that I'm not even going to tell you about. I don't know why I did that. The next time the right foot lifts, pause, circle the right ankle, and then just take a nice natural step forward, actually maybe a little bigger than natural, for Virabhadrasana 1. And so the feet might separate a little bit. Give your pelvis a lot of space, and then very slowly bend the front knee, sweep up, whole front of the body opens, and then extend the right leg, melt the arms down. Now you know what's happening, so just do it in your own way. Move at your own pace. Keep your weight in your heel. And if you notice the knee is coming really generously beyond the ankle, even though that's not unsafe, it is fine to scooch the foot forward. You want to have space. Feel as spacious as possible. And maybe that means every repetition, the feet change position. Give yourself that freedom. The next time the leg straightens, let's add on the heel lift. So press evenly through the inside and outside of the ball of the right foot. Let the heel lift. Lower, and then repeat. Vira 1, straighten the front leg, lift. And just notice how the heel lift activates the muscles in the front leg a little differently. The next time you're in Virabhadrasana 1, shift the weight forward and toe flick the left foot to your, I guess, crane pose, we can call it. Take a moment here and then reach the left arm forward as the left leg reaches back from whence it came, returning to Virabhadrasana 1. We'll do that one more time. So Vira 1, straighten, little heel lift here, and then Vira 1, shift the weight, crane pose. Except now, step the left foot in front of the right, reach to the left, and then big circle over to the right, spinning on the feet so you face the other direction. Slide the right foot back and just pause for a moment in Tadasana. Imagine your body is a rubber band. Sweep the arms forward and let the whole front of your rubber band body lengthen, and then let the rubber band start to shorten, pulling you right down into Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Let's do that one more time. So heavy pelvis, bend the knees, let the sits bones drop. Stack one vertebra at a time, and feel free to place the hands on the quads if your spine needs more support, right? So you shouldn't feel any pressure or tension as you do that. Once head and neck come up, sweep the arms up, rubber band body stretches, and then gently releases to pull you forward. Bend the knees deeply so there's no tension here. And walk the right hand over to the right, bend the knees, and slowly guide the right foot between that space like we did before. So the right hip can come down. Yeah. And twist to the left. And then extend the left leg. And we're back to our little shoulder exploration. So walk the hands around behind you. Option to stay up here, especially if you're enjoying it. Second option is to lower the forearms, but just make sure that doesn't create any pinching or tension in the shoulders. And whatever your option is, keep moving, keep exploring until you find a place, and this can be high or low, where the shoulders feel really supported and spacious. I really like pointing my fingers outward instead of forward. I find that helps open my shoulders more. Find your sweet spot. And then start to circle what are we circling here? We're circling the rib cage within the arm bones. Just exploring the front of the shoulders, the side of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders. Or you could even substitute the word chest with shoulders. Just take a couple of explorations and then go the opposite direction. And it shouldn't be intense. So that might mean you're barely moving. And then just pause for a moment. And then let the arms melt beneath you so that you can relax to the earth. And that was a little bit longer of a sequence, so let's just take a little longer of a pause. Connect with the breath. Again, feel the breath filling the space between the rib cage and the pelvis. And so now we're actually back at the beginning, like the literal place where you started. And we're going to go through our sequence in a more fluid way. Feel free to add anything on that the body invents, or subtract anything that didn't work for you. And as we go through this, and it's almost all movements you've already seen, see if you can try to observe your body as a whole, instead of just a collection of parts. Try to feel the entirety of your body moving through these more familiar movements you've already learned. So we'll start by dragging the heels in. Reach hands towards heels. Slowly curl up one vertebra at a time. Check in with the knees. If they're not feeling good, set the spine down and reset the feet. Try again. Pause for a moment at the top. If you want to draw a couple of circles with your pelvis, you can, as if the spine were like a double Dutch jump rope circling to the side and then down, other side. And then release one vertebra at a time. Curl left knee in, reach forward, rolling up. Release the body down, connect right hand to outer left thigh, and very slowly start to twist the body towards the right. Let the rib cage follow. Big circle with the left arm. Let the left arm pull you back to neutral. Grab behind the left leg. Lift the right leg. Swing the right leg forward, coming all the way up. Plant the right hand over to the right and thread the right foot through so that you can slowly or quickly pivot to table. That's up to you. Option to keep the knees high if you want, or release them down. We'll all release our forearms down. If your knees are down, lift them, and we'll all slowly lower the knees, stack the spine, and clap. Nice, Mel. You remembered that one. You were ready for it. Shift the hips back, and then slowly send the hips forward and step the right foot forward. And here's our momentum moment, right? So start to crease the hips back as the arms reach forward, and big tip here, keep all the weight in the right heel, right? If too much weight comes forward in the right foot, it might strain the knee a little bit. And as you feel ready, you can play with taking the left foot with you up to standing. If that's not working, lower the hands down, inch the left foot forward underneath you, and then slowly roll up that way. Cool. So now let's go into our chair with our toe flick. And remember, your other option is to do chair with a standing back bend. And the next time the right foot is lifted, step it forward. Separate the feet, let them go nice and wide. Bend the right knee, letting the whole front of the body open for Virabhadrasana 1. And then drop the arms, straighten the front leg, lift the right heel. Take a moment to let the whole body inflate. And then lower the right heel, bend the right knee, Vira 1. This time, shift the weight, going into Dana's version of our heron pose. Let the left arm circle forward, up, and open. And this is really similar to what we did on our back. So notice the connection between the rib cage and the pelvis. We'll take a couple of circles here if your balance can hang in there. And sometimes we really try to like peel the rib cage open really deeply. See if you can enjoy staying connected. And it might mean you don't go as far, but you feel, well, I don't want to tell you what to feel. What do you feel when you don't go as far and you keep that connection? The next time the arm circles forward, reach the left arm forward at the same time that the left leg reaches back. Pause, bend the right knee, shift the weight into the right heel. If this is going well, you can extend more for flying warrior, left arm forward, right hand back. And then let the left toes touch down. We're back at the beginning. We're going to go through that sequence 2 more times. If you've got it, do it at your own pace. Add, subtract, do whatever you want. Otherwise, stay with me and still add, subtract, do whatever you want. Bend your front knee, slowly opening Vira 1. Let the arms melt down, extend the front leg, lift the heel. Return to Virabhadrasana 1 and really milk it. I know, simple pose. How much can you enjoy it? How much support can you find? Shift the weight, twisted crane, left arm circles back, but keep the rib cage and the pelvis connected. Make as many circles as you want if you're enjoying that movement. And then at some point as the left arm circles down and forward, start to extend left arm and left leg at the same time so they're almost like stretching and reaching against each other. Pause if you'd like to, or set the left foot down at any time. You guys have built a lot of strength, and I want to prove to you that being really gentle makes you stronger. So I want you to notice if you feel more support in Virabhadrasana 3. Keep a little bend in that front knee. Make sure you can breathe. We'll just hold this for the rest of class. Just kidding, but you guys are amazing. Lower the toes down. Lift the arms, and we're going to change it up a little bit. Slowly bend both knees. Get really bouncy here. And melt the hands down inside the right foot. Both hands inside. That might be different than you're used to. Slowly lower the left knee down. And we're going to play with a modified Parivrtta Trikonasana. So reach the right arm forward. Circle it up and back so you're twisting into that front leg. We'll keep the arm going, but the next time it starts to reach up and back, kick into the right leg, letting it extend any amount. And then as the arm comes down and forward, bend the knee. As the arm goes up and back, extend. If it's too much, don't worry about all the moving parts, but the challenge here is twisting into that leg as it extends. And again, pay attention. What's the relationship between your rib cage and your pelvis? Are you just letting your ribs splay out, and are you over-rotating the vertebra? Or is there a semblance of this global connection? You might feel it in a different way when everything connects and you don't go as far. The next time the arm circles down, let it land inside of the right foot. Let the hips lower and melt towards the mat, and very slowly start to circle the hips to the right, and then up, and then to the left, and down. And then move even slower. We're not trying to go for a deep stretch here. We're really just trying to relax our deep hip flexor of the psoas. And it's like with the psoas, you cannot force anything to happen. It's like a cat, right? Like you have to, the cat just does what it wants to do, but you can give it some treats and try to keep it happy. I don't think that metaphor worked, but cats are really complicated creatures, and so is the psoas. Okay, and now very slowly glide the left knee forward until it's between the hands. Lower the left hip down. I don't know about you guys, I'm at the very end of my mat, so if that happened to you, scooch back so your hips are more towards the center. Extend the legs in front of you. Place the hands at either side of you and just pause in Dandasana just for a moment, perhaps noticing any asymmetry between the legs. Whew, we did a lot of work on that one leg. It's okay if you don't know which leg I'm talking about. Your body knows. A couple of options here. Feel free. Oh, my mic is dying. We're replacing the batteries, but I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah, okay, great. It's perfect moment for Yogi's Choice. Don't worry, we're going to do this the same. Can you hear me now? Okay, yay! Thanks, Satyam. You're the best. Online classes are really hard. It takes like a team of support. You guys are part of that team, so thanks. So feel free to continue enjoying your creative forward fold because you couldn't hear any cueing. You are also welcome to keep exploring. I'm not even going to call it fish pose. I think we're just exploring our shoulders, right? We haven't even extended the neck unless you were really feeling it. And if this is going well, something that I've been really enjoying in my fish pose is curling up the front of my body. So again, making that connection between the rib cage and the pelvis. Keeping all of that strong as you slowly reach the legs out and let the front of the body open without collapsing. So feel free to try that a couple of times. It's sort of like the movement we did at the beginning, but with both knees. And then you keep that connection or integration of the front line of the body as you extend it. And we're all going to meet in Shavasana, so you're welcome to just go there whenever you want. And if you're still in some kind of fish thing, allow the arms to slide out from beneath you. And just land in your body. Okay, so we're going to do that exact same sequence on the second side. Yeah. You can go to the next track if you want to. It's pretty groovy. And because you know the sequence, and because your body is smarter than your brain, it literally knows the sequence even if you couldn't write it down for me right now. See if you can relax. See if you can find a little more fluidity and keep trying to observe the body as a whole as it moves. And so here we go. We'll start by dragging the heels in. And then slowly let the whole front of the body lengthen to effortlessly lift the hips. Set one vertebra down at a time. Right knee lifts, curl up. Left hand to outer right thigh, connect and squeeze. And then slowly let the knees tilt to the left and let the rib cage follow. Big circle with the right arm. Let the right arm and all the integration you've built help the pelvis find its way back. And then grab behind the right leg, lift the left leg to the sky, and swing the left leg forward to maybe magically come up. And if that doesn't work, just take a couple of rocks. Twist to the right. Keep on twisting till you're facing forward again. Plant the left hand over to the left side. Tuck the left toe in that neat little space and slowly flip to your hovering table. Just for fun, you can walk the hands out, lower the knees at any time, but we've done some interesting shoulder stuff. This wasn't really part of the plan, but it's nice to explore the strength that you've built with the shoulders. So you can paw around on the mat a little bit, let the hands change directions, let the hips sway a little bit. As the hips sway, the shoulders are going to rotate, and let that top arm just naturally lift away one at a time. And then come back to center. Now we have our hilarious moment that ends in a clap. If you know what I am talking about, you will drop the knees and slowly roll up, and there's that moment. And just add some jazz hands in, because that's our last one. And send the hips back and step the left foot forward. And we've got a couple of options here, right? We've been working with momentum, but if that's not feeling supported enough for you, then you can slowly make your way to Tadasana. If the momentum's working, the next time the hip shifts forward, keep the weight in the left heel, take the right leg with you, and then use that same movement to go right into your chair toe flicks. Keep the weight in the heels here. And again, see if you can feel your whole body moving through space. Witnessing, again, that relationship between rib cage and pelvis. This is our last time doing this, so if you're really feeling strong and you're like, yeah, I want to go for it, you can, but don't. More is not always better, but sometimes more is better, right? So you got to figure out when it's better and when it's not. The next time the left foot's lifted, step the left foot forward, pause. Whew, my heart rate just got brought up quite a bit. Virabhadrasana, one nice, slow, steady, and see how much you can enjoy this moment, right? Usually it's like, this is such a boring pose. Can you find something exciting here? Maybe it's space, maybe it's lightness. Drop the arms, straighten the front leg, lift the front heel, and then return to your exciting, wonderful, never been done before Virabhadrasana 1. You can add those jazz hands, but only if you can feel your whole body as you do it. And then shift the weight. Left hand connects to the right thigh, and make your slow circles. And remember, it's not about the shoulder, right? The arm is like a rudder for your whole body. And if your whole body's not rotating, then this movement isn't that valuable. The next time the shoulder circles down and forward, start to kick the right foot back, stretch the right foot forward, pause for a moment. We'll have the opportunity to pause for longer if you're craving that. Set the foot down, and we'll do that whole sequence again. If you already know it, just do it, ignore me. Otherwise, here we go. Start with most wonderful Virabhadrasana 1 that you've experienced your entire lifetime. And then straighten the leg, release the arms, lift the front heel, feel that integrated strength beyond the hip. Feel it all the way up to the rib cage. And then bend the knee, spring forward. Take as many circles here as you want. Really, perhaps notice how all of the work to integrate the rib cage into the pelvis has given you some safe mobility here. And the next time the right arm reaches forward, stretch the right leg back. And if you would like to pause in Virabhadrasana 3, go for it. Make sure you can breathe. Enjoy it. Keep that left knee bent. Shift some extra weight into the left heel. And just notice the integrated strength that you have built by being gentle and being strong in a sneaky way. Whenever you feel ready, you can release the right foot down, but no rushing in yoga. And then let's just take one last moment to inflate in Virabhadrasana 1. Bend the back knee, come onto the back toes. Let everything get springy, but without any tension in the joints. And then eventually melt the arms down inside the left foot. Let the right foot walk out any amount so you can put the right knee down. And we'll go into our hip circles, and I will not talk about the psoas being like a cat ever again. Or I'll work on it and come back to you with my results. But seriously, be really gentle here and make your slow, even circles, and try to resist that urge of finding a stretch sensation, and instead look for a sensation of support, of fluidity, and ease. And it's really in that space that the psoas can start to release. Connect with the breath. And we'll work with our Parivrtta Trikonasana modification, starting with circling into the front leg. So the left arm will reach forward, up, and back. Keep that going, letting the arm rotate the rib cage as we did in our standing heron twist. And now adding on the leg, the next time the arm is reaching up and back, start to kick into the leg any amount. And then as the hand comes down and forward, bend the knees, let everything soften. And you can pause at any point if you find an area that seems constructive to breathe and let those muscles support you and learn a little bit more about that position. Otherwise, keep on moving because we don't want to get stuck. We don't want to force anything. And the next time the arm circles down, plant the left hand inside of the left foot. Slowly inch the right knee forward between the hands. Bring the right hip down, sinking over to the right slightly, and then allow the right leg to extend through. If you have wiggled off your mat, you can scooch so your hips are towards the center of the mat. And here we are again. So you kind of know the options. Feel free, if the body is craving a forward fold, to play there. You can also return to our curling and unfurling fish pose. And then the final option that I want to add here, besides do whatever you want, is playing with fish pose from the ground up, starting with that curl, so the front of the body's connected, and then very gently letting the front of the body lengthen so that you can bring the crown of the head towards the mat. And definitely be very gentle here. You don't want any pressure in the back of the neck. If you're not sure, just come out of it and keep moving, right? The curling and unfurling is going to mean you don't hold in an unsupported place because it takes a lot of muscles to move. But you might find a place where you want to pause and breathe. Just make sure there's no pressure. I might even say like not even sensation in the back of the neck. If you're like, I don't know if it's good or bad, let's just say don't. Stay there. And then we'll all release eventually, but enjoy where you're at. And we'll pause on the back. And we will have an actual Shavasana, but I want to make sure you guys have time or a chance to turn off your music and use your warm bodies. Like if there's anything special that you're exploring in your practice and your body's all warmed up, feel free to enjoy whatever your personal practice is looking like these days. And if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, there's nothing that I want to do right now. Some nice cooling movements that we can play with based on our sequence. It's really fun to play with our sequence with both legs, which means going from bridge to both knees curling in, to opening the arms and letting the knees fall to one side, letting the arms circle all the way back around to your bridge pose. And then playing with the other side. You can also pause in any of those movements. And just take another moment to balance outside and give your body whatever last things it's craving. And I'm realizing I tried to plan a 75-minute class, which just means no meditation and shorter shavasana. So not sure if that's, I would love to hear people's feedback after class if you would just rather have a 90-minute class going forward. I'm figuring it out, but it's summertime and I want people to be outside and do all the things, so it's a balance. So when your body feels balanced, you can come towards your favorite way to rest. And if you're not going to bed soon and you don't feel like resting on the back, you can rest upright in a meditation seat. That also is a wonderful way to absorb. So just know that your rest can look unique. And then wherever you are, find stillness. And bring your focal point to your breath. And just imagine the physical layer of the body dissolving. And that you can be in this pranic space of the breath that's so much more vast and free than the confines of the physical kosha. And we'll rest in this spacious layer of our being for the next few minutes. very short Shavasana. So if you have to go at the 75-minute mark, I just want you to know that that's where we're at. But if you've got nowhere to be, this is a really nice place to get to rest and absorb. So stay here longer. It's up to you. And I'm gonna stick around. Feel free to type in the chat box if you prefer 75-minute or 90-minute class, because I do this for you guys. So if people would rather have a longer class, that's totally possible. So just let me know what your preference is. In the future, not right now, of course. For those of you that are exiting Shavasana, thank you for being here. Thank you for practicing. Mel and Yadevi, I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Thank you for that feedback, Yadevi. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, Mel. Take care, Tammy. Good to see you.